Hey, so I'm talking over the intro here. Do you remember that time when you filmed a video last June and it was super hot and you got so busy then you forgot to post it? No? That only happens to me? Well, here's an old one that I found in my files. Enjoy! Hey everybody, it's Jameson. It may sound like a windstorm in here, but it is 104 in my garage workshop, and I've got the fans running and I've got sweat rolling down my back, but I want to work on glass, and so here I am. So I wanted to share with you just a couple of tips and just show you a little bit of some jewelry making I was about to do. I have amassed quite a collection of dichro over the last 3 years. Actually, let me show this to you. I'm so fortunate. Let's see, I'm gonna pop the camera out. Sorry about this. Look at this. I have a whole tackle box full of dichro. I mean, this is pounds and pounds of dichro scraps. And I've also got some more over here. And my point in showing this is not to flex on you, not to be braggadocious about it. It's just, I have not spent a lot of money on this, to be honest. So this little, these square pieces that you see here on black and on clear, those were FuseWorks brand that Hobby Lobby clearanced out a couple of years ago. It's not the best stuff. I would not use it for anything that has a high cry factor. I just toss it into like a paperweight or magnet now and then or something, so I keep it around and use it here and there, but on nothing that's very special to me. This is just a whole bunch of random scrap pieces and all of this, and I bought so much of this used. And, you know, found somebody online, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, that was getting rid of some stuff, and, you know, paid what I thought was a fair price and what they wanted, and I saved myself a fortune. So that's the first tip. In fact, I got these molds all used, the same thing, from somebody who was kind of giving up fusing, walking away from it. So you can find great deals. You just gotta look, you just gotta be patient. I know fusing can be an expensive hobby, but you can find the deals. For these used molds, these are all from Creative Paradise, their Holy line. There are more molds that I got in addition to these. They were caked with zip. You know, the person had put way too much on, and so I have this brush here. I don't know, it's kind of a stiff bristle brush. I actually bought this from the Glass Underground, Merrill. But anyway, I use that to kind of really dig and rough this up and get all of that old spray out, wearing my mask. I blew it dry with some compressed air just to kind of get it all out, not dry, but blew it out to get all of that dry powder out, and then reapplied zip. There are some tips online about how to do that. The Color de Verre website has a YouTube video on that. I may, if I'm feeling nice, I may grab some of these links and put them in the video description. But there are really good tips out there. So I cleaned these up, I reapplied zip. You have to make sure that you're pretty liberal with your zip, because these posts are delicate, and if the glass sticks can tend to break off, so I'm trying to avoid that happening. Again, I mentioned these are from Creative Paradise. They have a really nice tutorial online. Creative Paradise talks exactly about how to fill these with frit, how to use them. It also gives you a couple of ideas, and then there are fill weights. So if you want to know kind of how to get the best possible result out of these, then you follow the fill weights. Here's another tip that I often do. I'll take a marker. I found that like a silver colored Sharpie stays on a little bit better. There are other markers that do this as well, but I'll often write on the bottom or on the side what the weight of the mold is and what the fill weight is, and then what the total weight is. So if I want to be really precise and put this thing on a scale and fill it as I go, then I know what the total weight of that is, and I don't have to tear out my scale. Tare, T-A-R-E, being zeroed out. You could do that. I just like to know what the total weight is too, so I just write them both on the side, and then I find that marker lasts through several firings, so that you don't have to get out your cheat sheet all the time. For this project, oh, this is also a Creative Paradise mold. Let's see, LF148. I love this thing. I use this thing so much. I make jewelry pendants out of it. I'll show you maybe some of those, maybe in a future video. I find it's great for scraps. I pop them out, then I'll glue magnets on the back. I have gotten so much value. I probably should own 2 or 3 of these because I've gotten so much value out of this. Now, again, you have to reapply zip and make sure that you maintain that well, or something will get stuck. So you just, it's on proper maintenance, but I love this mold as well. So anyway, that's a little bit quick tip about molds. So back to the Dicro. I've decided I've amassed so much of this, I really should start using it. And I've never used these Holy molds and wanted to try them out. So I'm gonna put some Dicro in them, and I'm gonna borrow from my scrap pile. Now, one of the women that I bought a bunch of this from had already pre-fused, let's see here, I'm trying to pull them out, pre-fused some pieces. I think she had intended to make these jewelry, and they're kind of cool, but she didn't like them. She just included them in the scrap pile. I think this one's really neat, and she actually fused a channel into that. Can you see that? Yeah, there you go. She fused a channel into it. But it has a little bit of devitt spot on the top, and just doesn't, she didn't like it. It's not mine, so I'm not going to try to sell it as mine. But I thought what I might do is, this is Dicro that's got a clear cap on it. This does not have a cap. Anyway, I'm going to use my nippers, just some mosaic nippers here, and I'm just going to chop all this up into different bits and pieces and arrange it into some of these molds, and then I will cap it with clear and refire it. So I am not going to be checking my weight on these molds, because I guess maybe I could out of curiosity. I'm not that eager to be so scientific about it for this firing, because I really just want to kind of see how these things turn out. I guess if I want to see how they turn out, I should do it the right way. Anyway, I'm debating myself, and that's boring. I have a bunch of clean Tecta that I've chopped up, and so I think I've showed this on previous videos. I chop this up, it's clean, I chop it, and then I put it in a jar, and this is perfect for topping off jewelry pieces like this. You get a nice clean look. You don't get a ton of bubbles. You can get bubbles, but not a lot. So I love keeping this on hand. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to chop up a whole bunch of these jewelry pieces. I'm going to kind of arrange them in here in certain ways. I'm going to top it with some clear Tecta. I'm going to fire them, and we see what they look like next. You can see I chopped all those up. I have very little left over, actually. So let me just explain what I did. I kind of filled in the voids where I could. There are a couple of gaps here. I think I'm going to take some black frit. I think I've got some black coarse frit, and kind of layer in a few more areas so that I just don't have bald spots before I cap that off with Tecta. I tried to do that with some of these chunks of black here. And then I filled up several of these molds with just some dichroic chunky bits. Until I ran out of dichroic, so I pretty much used all the dichro that was in those pendants. And then these last few I just filled up with black, and they're not going to be very full, and I'm not going to cap them with clear. I'm just going to make hopefully like little pucks that then later I could use as the background, layer some dichro or some clear on. So those 4 there are just going to be pieces for me to build on later. So like I said, I'm going to put frit in these. Then I'm going to cover it with that clear Tecta, and then we will fire it. One more thought as I was chopping up these pendants, I realized that looks like an atrocity, but again, this was in her scrap bin, and she sold it as scrap, so she didn't care for it, and I'm certainly not going to pass it off as my own work. And so I take pride, actually, in the fact that I'm repurposing that and turning something, that she wasn't happy with into something that hopefully I am, and that somebody else will love. Okay, I said I was going into the kiln, but I wanted to say just a few more notes. A couple of things. When I was loading these, I was very, very meticulous and careful so that I didn't disturb the zip that was on the sides. 1, I don't want to accidentally scratch it off and then have my glass stick, and 2, I don't want to scratch it off and then have that zip end up in my piece. Another tip, I kind of overfill these molds. So as you can see, they're kind of popped up over the top. I just know that there's a lot of void in there, and that's all going to settle down in, and so I want that to happen. Now, some of these, particularly these guys, might fire pretty thick. And so that's okay. I'll pop them out. I can put them back in the kiln, run them at a full fuse, and let them taper out to that 6mm rule if they come out real thick. As I was filling these, I tried to avoid piling any glass up on top of those posts. I want the glass, boy, you can barely, where the heck is that one? Oh, I see it. It's under this piece of glass. Let's see if I can move it. There you go. So I want the glass, those posts to stick out so that the glass kind of flows down around them and not over the top of them. So hopefully that works. This is not the way Creative Paradise, I think, recommends using their molds. So this is a little bit of an experiment. We're just gonna see what comes of it, but hopefully it turns out well. And then finally, for my kiln schedule, I need to go figure out the firing schedule. I'll post it, but I've got some other things that are going in as well. So I'm trying to kind of balance the load and come up with a firing schedule that's going to work for everything. The other things I've got going in kind of look like a scrap melt, so I'm probably going to go pretty hot. Like, these are really scrap melt too. Probably going to go pretty hot, maybe 1500, and I may hold that for a good 20 minutes or so with a really good bubble squeeze on the way up. So probably a long, slow bubble squeeze on the way up, and then also a really long anneal on the way down, for two reasons. These are pretty thick as they are, but some of the other pieces in there are thick as they are as well. And you know, I don't think you can ever over anneal. It's just a little bit of energy that you're burning for peace of mind. So I will post what schedule I use. You can look at the schedule and decide for yourself if you can adjust it for smaller molds like this. The mold or the schedule I'll use will probably be ultra conservative for the rest of the load that's in there, but let's give it a shot and see what happens. All right, they're out. Had to wait forever for the kiln to cool, but they're out. So let me share with you. Hopefully these all pop out okay. Here's the piece. Looks like it picks up a little bit of zip on the sides. That'll probably clean off. But here's the first piece. I'm pretty happy with this. I wasn't really sure going in, you know, how much to fill. I also assumed, I forgot to mention this, but some of this dichro might float to the top. That happens. Personally, I like the depth of seeing dichro in under clear, and I like that, yeah, the depth that you get from that. But because I used such chopped up pieces and the glass that I put on top was also chopped up pieces, I wondered if some would kind of escape out, and it looks like it did. That's okay though. Generally, I'm very pleased with, hopefully you can see, there's not a lot of bubbles at all. That's the beauty of using, you know, more like chunks of, in this case, Texta versus smaller frit. And I did a super big bubble squeeze. So I ended up taking this up to 15, 20. I'll post my schedule. I can't remember now if it was 20 minutes or maybe even 30 minutes. I think I held for 30 minutes, but I did a nice long bubble squeeze as well. So anyway, let's see. Oh, well, it popped right out, but it also pulled out a layer of zip, which means I'm gonna have to sand this all down and reapply. You know, again, this was a used mold. You're kind of not sure what you're gonna get. So, grabbing some cleaning liquid here. That's awfully thick. I did not, you know, I talked about whether or not I was going to weigh these, and I decided not to. So this was really just kind of a guess. These are obviously probably too thick to be jewelry. Hang on, I'm just cleaning this up a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe this could be a pendant. We'll see. Okay, I need to clean this up more, but yeah. See how thick that is? I'm just not sure. I don't wear jewelry. So I'll get some opinions from others, but the back is a little interesting. It's almost as if it picked up some of that zip. I can't really tell. Okay, so that's that piece. Came right off of the post, which I was a little worried about, seeing so many people have trouble with those posts. That zip that was around the edge, looks like that cleaned off just fine. So that's that one. Hopefully the heart comes out just as easily. Okay, same thing, awfully thick. So in the future, I would just be careful not to put that much glass in. All right, there's the heart. Really cool. Dichro is just fun anyway, but just a lot of cool dimension and depth to that. Hopefully you're seeing that. And then this little whirligig thing, there is not much post showing there. I knew that going in. Hey, popped out. It's an awfully small hole. I don't know, I may have to look at all that zip that came off. Yeah, these molds probably, I need to rough these up maybe a little bit. I'm not sure how to do that. I guess I could use a tip on a Dremel, like a little brush, to kind of really clean these molds off and try to get these layers of zip off. The former owner just really loaded these things up, and then now it's coming off on my work. But there you go. Oh, let's see. That was nasty. Okay, there you go. So I'm pretty pleased with these. I mean, again, these were all, you know, jewelry pieces that now I've repurposed into new pieces that I think are kind of cool. Let's see how my little baubles came out here. Now for these, I usually turn this upside down, see what falls out, and then give it a good whack, and hopefully the rest of them fall out. Remember, I made some that were just black, so I did not get black full coverage, so you can kind of see the white underneath where it was just clear. But that's okay, because I'll just use those as bases for something in the future. So all but two came out, and then that one just popped out, and that one popped out. Okay, so I like to clean these up, and these are thick. Some of them are. Now, if I were just doing these as magnets, which I've done a ton of times with this mold, I may just leave them at that depth because that's kind of cool on our fridge. If I wanted to glue a bail or drill a hole and put a pinch bail in these, then I would probably put it back in for another firing so that it spreads out and thins out a little bit more. But those are cool too. They got zip all over them as I'm getting my fingers all over. But I think they'll all clean up quite nicely and be cool little pieces. So there you go. Just some ideas there for how to repurpose some scrap Dichro, how to use these molds, spray them well with zip. Spray this one well with zip. But I've probably fired in this thing. I mean, I clean it, zip it. This one I may not even re-zip. I might get another good firing out of this. But I've had this same mold, and I've probably run this thing through the kiln now what seems like 30 times, and I'm pleased that I haven't damaged or ruined that mold yet. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. I love the community, and I love the community aspect, and I love to read your comments. So drop me a comment. Hope everybody's doing well. Catch you later. Bye.